We made it. Second time to Big Bend. Let's do this. We are out hiking the Lone Mountain Loop Trail in Big Bend. This is a brand new trail that the park has just created within the last 2 years. It's pretty short, about 3 miles long, and it's also pretty close to their most active visitor center. So it gives people who are coming in just for the day a chance to hike something close to where they might visit. It's also fairly flat, which is pretty awesome. It's the whole thing, about 3 miles, only has 200 feet of elevation gain, according to the park. So it makes it really accessible for people who can't handle strenuous hikes. So one of the main attractions of the park is the Chisos Mountains, which is one of, if not the largest, freestanding mountain range in the US. It's just a sea of mountains, an island of mountains in a sea of desert. And that's actually what these mountains are right in front of the view. It's the Chisos. Hike number 2 for the day. This is Maple Canyon. It's what we are guessing is relatively unused or rarely used trail off of the access road to the Chisos Mountains. We've driven up into the mountains. We're not all the way up yet, but we can already tell it feels cooler. The breeze has a much colder feel to it than it did down in the valley. So we think this is going to be about 2 miles round trip, so about a mile out and back. And so far it's an actual trail to follow, but we'll have to keep an eye on it because we don't know how maintained it will be all the way through. So as we guessed might happen, the trail has grown in a lot. This is what our trail looks like. When I look at it through the video camera, it looks more like a trail than it does in real life. Ow. Do you ever hear me say that it's starting to feel cold again when I'm in the desert? Just go ahead and slap me. Good morning. We are getting ready for our first hike of the day. It's just about 8 o'clock here in Big Bend, and the morning is beautiful. Just really, really soft light everywhere. My mom just dropped us off at the Chimneys trailhead, and we sent her off in our brand new car to go pick us up on the other side. A little nerve-wracking, but we're really excited that we only have to hike this trail in one direction. Kind of expecting the first 2.5 miles or so to be really maintained and well used. I think this is a popular day hike in the park. And then the last 5 miles might be a little bit less maintained, but hopefully not as bad as Maple Canyon yesterday, because that was rough. So this is the Chimneys area. It's about 2.5 miles into the hike, and it's been just super easy to get here. Pretty flat trail. You'll have to climb back uphill if you turn around at this point, but it's not a very bad climb. And they're really gorgeous, so I'll give you a panoramic view here. We found some water in the desert. We're fully loaded for the day, so we won't be filtering it, but it's pretty cool to see these resources here. We're coming up on the end of our Chimneys hike. We are already over distance for what the park said we would do. Not too far, but just a couple tenths of a mile. We did this hike as a point to point. So my mom dropped us off at the Chimneys trailhead off of Ross Maxwell Scenic Drive. And then she drove our car around to finish the scenic drive and up Old Maverick Road. Old Maverick Road is, from what we've heard, pretty washboarded. So she's taking her time. Hopefully she stopped at a few overlooks, and then she should be at the end of the trail when we get there. If you are like us and you're traveling with multiple generations, this could be a really good option for you, where you get to do some hiking and other people get to do some sightseeing along the scenic drive. The hike is mostly downhill from the Chimneys down to here. There's a few uphill sections. Oh, I see her! Oh, sorry, I didn't hear you. The hike is mostly downhill from Ross Maxwell to Old Maverick. There's just a few uphill sections, but they're not bad, and it's pretty smooth. The trail definitely gets a little bit harder to follow after the Chimneys, but it's still fine. There's plenty of cairns, and for the most part, the path is really clear. We are excited to be almost done. We are heading out on our second hike of the day. This one will be much shorter, about 3 miles, hopefully closer to 2.8. We are hiking the Ward Spring Trail. It's got a sign off of the road on the Ross Maxwell Scenic Drive. So we're hoping that means it's maintained the whole way. We're expecting to climb about 400 or 500 feet of elevation in about 1.5 miles, and then turn around and head back to the car. So Ward Spring Trail is about 2.8 miles, pretty accurate according to the park sign, and about 500 feet of elevation gain. It's kind of an interesting hike. It goes up through this canyon to some rocks, passes a spring, we saw some water, and it's just kind of cool views. You really feel like you're at the base of those cliffs of the Chisos looming over you. It kind of felt a little bit like Zion, but also different because the rocks are different. It's a good hike. I would say I'd recommend this hike if you've already been to Big Bend before and you've seen a lot of the other trails. This would be a good hike to get in on a second visit to the park. Definitely not something I would say you need to do your first visit to the park, but plenty of character of the area along the trail. There's some B-roll.